Okay, so here I'm going to introduce you to a way to stabilize through your mid spine. And I got to duck down a little bit to stay in the frame. And what you need for that, possibly a yoga strap. Um, the other components would be possibly a yoga block. And to start with, we're just going to use maybe a folded blanket or something lower than a block. I'm going to put that to the side for now, and the first part is just a little bit an exploration of what we are aiming for. So we have this ability to stay on our backs with feet about hip width distance apart in a nice resting pose, and then my hips are elevated. So the edge of my blanket is the edge of my sacrum. And then from here, with your hands on your pelvis, just see if you can find a little bit of a tuck. So you're dishing your belly out, the pubic bone curls up, and what you want to notice is mostly that your ribs can sink down. If that's not happening and your ribs aren't connecting to the floor, you may want to reach the back of the head a little bit long, like you want to get really, really tall. And you can even maybe feel that you're sliding an eighth of an inch kind of towards the wall behind you. And that creates the space for you being really able to dish this area out. So we're going to repeat that about 1 to 2 times. So here on the exhale, you're going to draw your belly in. And you're thinking, I'm drawing the upper belly underneath the ribs. I'm tucking the upper belly under the ribs. And then you're going to let that go. Pelvis is back in neutral. And we're going to call this always a tuck. So the tuck curls the pubic bone up, lengthening through sacrum, reach the back of the head long. And you can feel how this is dished out. So you can think of this is our fulcrum here, and then this side is one side of a seesaw, and then the legs are the other side of the seesaw. So right now I'm getting heavy on the head side of the seesaw, and then I'm going to let that go again. And then one more time, we're rotating the pelvis, and that's around the fulcrum, and then we're going to get into this heavy position on the ground. So now with your knees bent, that's not that difficult. So look what happens when I now let the weight of my legs go towards the foot side of the seesaw, because now in my torso, if I let my legs slide out, my ribs come up and I'm really arched off the floor, and now my ribs are splaying out towards the ceiling, and that's what we kind of want to avoid, because now we have a lot of tightness in the back and our psoas muscle is disabled. So to start getting a sense for how to stabilize the connection into the stability of your spine, we're going to just start a little bit easier. And how we're going to do that is by taking the blanket out for a moment, and we're going to put more height underneath the back of the pelvis. So I'm going to bring my block right underneath the back of the sacrum. So now that's a lot higher. There's a lot more space between your spine and the floor. And if you have a smaller yoga block that's also 2 or 3 inches, that's actually even more ideal. So I have one, but I want to demonstrate with this because that's what most people have. And with here, we're going to just start also and see if we can find our tuck. Pubic bone goes towards the ceiling. When the pubic bone goes up, this side of my seesaw gets heavy. And I still draw the upper belly underneath my ribs, like I'm drawing my belly in and away from something that is like a railing with paint that I don't want to touch. And when I do that, my block, you can see, tips a little bit towards the head side. And I'm going to reach the back of my head away from me, which allows the block to tip more and my ribs to sink more. Now our goal is that we can keep the ribs low and then place the block a little bit more towards flat. So you can see now I tilted my pelvis the other way. And what wants to happen is that the ribs come up like that when I bring my pelvis back down, and we're saying no. We want to tuck and the ribs get heavy, pubic bone goes up, and we do our best to keep this heavy and just do a small tilt. The block might still be on its edge, that's totally fine. You're just playing with a very small range of motion of curling the pubic bone up in the tuck, getting really heavy through the ribs, and then in the tilt, you're gonna just slightly think about elongating that bottom half of your belly. So the pubic bone, instead of being here, you're gonna reach that longer, but you're gonna try to keep your ribs stable. Now we're also gonna use our little belt, if you have it or if you need it. First, we're going to tuck and we're going to bring the left leg up. And you can then capture with your hand so that you don't have to reach. You're just letting your belt hang over your shin. You're stabilizing your leg here. So now what we're looking for is to slide our right leg out and away. And so right here for me, there's a point where I have tight hip flexors, and if I go further and I keep my foot on the floor, what happens is, you will see, if I try to go further, now my ribs are starting to come up and my pelvis is going into a tilt. So now I'm arched here. And that's fine, because that's exactly what I want you to feel. So when you do that with me. And how do we get into a better position from here? We're going to start to flex from the foot. So I have my ankle flexed now. And then all I need to do is, my block now is my fulcrum under the pelvis, and I'm pulling my belly in, and I reach the back of the head up, like I get really tall. And with that, I can tip that block a little bit more towards me again. So I'm getting my ribs down and my leg comes up, and I'm doing my best to really, really squeeze my quad muscle to extend my knee fully. It's really important. So now I'm tucked. And then from here, I'm going to find an inhale, and on the exhale, scoop your belly in more, tuck more, really roll the pelvis so that you get really heavy through the torso and the leg comes up, and then you're just going to bend the knee. We're going to do it on the other side, so you'll see what happens on this side where the leg is up. So I'm going to start here, and I'm out of the frame so you can see the rest of my body. You don't need to see my face or anything. So we're going to bring the left foot to the floor, if we can, and stay in a tuck. So I'm really heavy through my ribs, and now I'm sliding my left foot away from me, extending slowly through the knee, and you go slow so that you can feel what's happening in your body. So once I slide that more and more and more, there comes a point where if I don't interact and I don't do anything, I don't engage my core, now I'm gonna reach with my leg to get long and my ribs come up. So to remedy that, I'm going to flex my left foot through the ankle, and then I'm going to exhale. I'm going to tuck my belly underneath my ribs, reach the back of the head long, the whole roller tips towards me, and I'm going to really extend my leg, drawing the belly in. Then from here, I pause for an inhale, and then on the exhale, I bring the leg up and over and bend again. And so that is how you can learn to feel the connection of the psoas muscle that attaches on the back here on your spine to your leg. And the psoas attaches on the inside back here on your femur bone. And it actually does the movement of this hip flexion. The problem is when you're here and you're arched, the psoas can't do that work very well, and you're recruiting muscles that are down here, and that's bad for your posture. And then you're on spinal integrity, so we need to find a little bit more in the tuck position. Once you can keep that, you can actually then act from the psoas muscle, and the ribs don't come up. So what do you have to find? It's your core. Yeah. So I'm going to show you one more time how you can do that quickly and fluidly with the legs. So my left leg is captured, and we have to bring my block back up here. My left leg is captured with a band, or I can interlace my fingers around the shin. I make sure my pelvis is really, really square. So I'm not hiked through my hip on one side or the other. And you have to maintain this squareness when your leg goes down. So I'm holding on to the strap with my left. I'm going to find an inhale. On the exhale, right leg comes down. I'm going to start to tuck a little bit, because now I don't want to let everything come up and splay out. I'm going to tuck. I'm going to keep my ribs down. This time when I'm extending my leg, I can feel here, now my ribs want to come up and my pelvis wants to go into a tilt. So I'm going to be extra careful to super draw my belly in, and then I'm ready to extend my leg and flex my ankle from here, not sliding it on the floor quite as far, but this is where I am right now, so that I can keep this heavy, I don't let it splay out, and I come up and back down. And then I repeat that. Please notice that my belly is not poofing out when my leg comes down. I mitigate the stress of the leg coming down by drawing my belly in more. When I reach my leg out as far as I can in my body, and yours might go further or less, then you will feel the point, oh, if I go further, then I probably lose this and this would happen. So that's not what we want. So I'm going to keep my belly drawing in like crazy, reach the back of the head long. And then when I'm at my last point on the floor, I'm going to really recruit my lower belly drawing in. I'm going to flex my ankle, bring the leg up straight, pause here. Really draw the belly in more to get my ribs down more. So when I do that, you can see my leg comes up, my ribs go down. It's a seesaw. Get the leg up and over, and then I bend it. And then you can do that on the other side 2 times as well with me. So I'm going to bring the left foot down. My abdomen is drawing in. My ribs are heavy. I'm going to see how far I can extend on this side. And this is where I feel like if I go further on the floor, then my pelvis is going into a tilt. So I need to really recruit my belly. Do not let your belly poof out or your throat get tense. This is where I need to press more into my ribs, make my ribs heavy so I can extend my leg and bring it up. And then I pause here, my leg comes up and over, and then I bend. Same thing again. Left foot down, nice and tall through the top of the head. Slide your leg out. This is my last point. Pause here, draw the belly in more. Reach the back of the neck long so you don't get into your throat, and tighten that. Flex your ankle, leg comes up, pause, inhale, exhale, bring the leg up, and then let it come down. So if we had done an assessment before we did this exercise, what you may have felt is that under your spine, right in the center of the spine, when you lay down onto the floor like this, that there is some gap in between the floor and there. And what I feel now is that my ribs are connected down because I recruited the muscles of my abdomen to stabilize my spine when I'm operating my legs. So this is an amazing exercise to get back into proper function and stability of the spine in relationship to your pelvis, recruiting the psoas muscle. I hope you have fun practicing. All right.